Hi, and welcome to the Uplift Simple Thoughts for Complex Times. It's Sunday, and that means it's time for recap and rev up. What we were discussing on Friday's Cocktails and Conversations was a really powerful topic for a lot of you. I got a lot of feedback from it. Um, First, before I go into that, we've been in this now for about 14, 15 episodes, which is very, very short in the journey. But still, there are tweaks that need to be made and kind of feedback that I would love to receive from you. How do you listen to this and when do you listen to this? Do you listen to this through a podcast source? Do you listen to this by watching it on YouTube or by finding it on Instagram? Would it be easier or probably more likely for you to listen to if you received it in an email inbox? I'd love that kind of feedback in the comments. If you could help me kind of work this to its most beneficial use. The other thing is when we talk about something, we talk about partnerships, when we talk about listening to this, you don't have to listen to it on Friday or Sunday. A lot of people say to me, you know what, Krista, I keep them. And then when I'm getting up in the morning on Monday or revving up for the week ahead, kind of taking on the challenges, then I listen to both episodes back to back. Doesn't matter to me how you listen to it. I appreciate your following. I appreciate your activity and your kind of coexisting in this thing with me. Um, but if you get a message from this that helps you tweak something in your life into more powerful, doesn't matter to me if you're watching it on whatever venue you choose or however time frame you opt in on it. I appreciate your support, your likes, your subscribes, and I appreciate you being there for me as I am for you. So that aside, feel free to leave me some feedback in the comments. Friday's Cocktails and Conversations, we were talking about change, and we were talking about and change is a real, fire starter conversation because many of us don't feel comfortable with it. Others of us jump into it at the drop of a hat without thinking twice. No matter what your approach to change is, I set before you two tasks, two challenges, so to speak. The first number one challenge, and you should go back if you're into this and listen to that whole episode. The first number one challenge is to find something you'd like to change by Labor Day. Could be anything, open field, right? Something you'd like to change by Labor Day. And the second task was identifying something that you need, there's a difference, need to change by the end of the year. This is the month of June. It's the halfway point through our year. It's a great touchstone for kind of looking at the 6 months that have passed, seeing how far you've come, seeing how close to whatever goals you might have set for yourself you are. Are you close to attaining them? Do they need tweaks? What needs changes? Doesn't matter if it's your business life, your personal life, whatever forum you're setting this conversation in. June is a great time to kind of say, "Oh, where am I?" Right? And now let's make the necessary kind of turnabouts to get me closer to where I thought I needed to be by this time or by the end of the year. So a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to invite my gal friend. I'm going to invite some colleagues. I'm going to invite my family members to do a Zoom on your topics, especially around the change ones, so that we could benefit from a support network. Hey, if you guys are in for a Zoom call, I'm in for a Zoom call too, whether it's with me or without me. But I definitely think when we approach the idea of implementing change of any kind, it's usually better when coupled with accountability. And accountability is simply bringing in a partner on the journey who could keep you straight and honest. Because if it's just us weighing in on our own sense of activity and success, when we give up, who do we have to tow us back to center? Nobody. Partnership and accountability has been a really active and successful component of any task-driven kind of idea. If you have a friend that wants to get in on change and you keep each other accountable, if you have a family member, I think it's such a warming idea for me as the host to see so many of you writing to me that say, after we listen to you on Fridays, we actually have dinner and we discuss whatever you propose. That to me is very touching too. As long as we get these ideas out and escalate them in your own world the way they need to kind of have the volume raised, any system goes. But especially when we're talking about a summer change challenge, even if it's something simple, I say bring a buddy along, especially for those of you that listen together. But it was interesting because this is where I digress just a little bit. It's incorporated in this conversation. My daughter listened to this, to Friday's Cocktails and Conversations, basically because I demand that she does. She gave me some really useful feedback, and she said, "Mom, I really like the topics. I really like the questions that you're posing for each of us to think about in our own time. And I wonder if you ever watched a documentary on Netflix by Jonah Hill called Stutz." And I said, "No, I had not. What is it?" And she said, "It's Jonah directed and theorized the concept of interviewing, doing a documentary about his therapist, who had really unique approaches to feeling the changes that people go to therapy for." I say no more because I really want you to look at the documentary, particularly if you're someone who has had therapy in the past, or particularly if you are someone that struggles with the negative voice inside you or depressive component in your world. This 90-minute documentary was earth-shattering for me. First of all, you fall in love with the therapist and you fall in love with the relationship that they have together as a patient and doctor, but also colleagues in progress and very loving friends. Some of the ideas are so simple, and what you and I already know about overcoming obstacles, about changing the voice in our head. But the magic of this documentary is that it's not a mystery. He is sharing the tools that he shares with his patients to actually help you get through the block. So in other words, it's not just a teaser. It's not a conversation at 4,000 feet up in the air. That's why Jonah Hill outlines in the documentary why he wanted to make it. He wanted to bring these kind of therapeutic skills and combatants to the negative voice that lives in all of us to the forefront of a more massive audience that didn't have access to those techniques. I think it's a great chaser if we're talking about cocktails and conversations. That documentary would be a great chaser to any kind of change program that you're looking to implement in this summer change challenge, whether it's the simple change you'd like to make by summer or the more complex change you identify as needing to make by the end of the year. I can't promote it enough since May introduced me to it. This was just last night that I watched it. It was wonderful. And I want to share one of the stories that Dr. Stutz shares in the doc, and that is the cloud story. So he tells the tale of when he was a young boy and he was taking off in an airplane for the first time with his dad, very concerned because there were very cloudy conditions and kind of rumblings and things. And as a young boy, you know, his fear factor was very high. And his dad reassured him, as soon as we get through the clouds, the sun is above the clouds. As soon as we push through the clouds, everything that you're feeling right now and getting anxious about is going to stop, because you'll see the sun and then we'll be gliding smoothly. And wow, what an illustration. Of course, he used it because it's a great illustration for life itself, right? So here we are. And here's our challenge. Here's our change. Here's our battle that we fight against. And right directly above that is always a shining sun. We sometimes just can't see it because of its placement, because we haven't broken through. And he goes on to discuss the tools you use to break through the cloud to get to the sun where there's smooth sailing. It was a very simple thing that most people that watch that documentary to put into practice. And I think that's something that we forget, right? The sun is always out somewhere. You may not feel it in your world in one single moment, in one single day, but access to it is always available, whether it be through the people that you know that feel like sunshine, the people that you're around that make you feel like sunshine, the optimists in your daily life, the potential that others can bring to your foresight that will keep you moving on. There is always an abundance of light around us. Dark is temporary. And what's that old saying? Without the rain, you get no flowers. I'd love for you to look at change as a positive thing. I'd love for you to join me in the challenge of changing your perspective on doing things differently this summer, and perhaps even throughout the end of the year. If you would like accountability partners, if you would like to travel on the journey with someone, please drop that in the comments, and perhaps we make an exclusive evening group that will explore the challenges that we all need to take together. That's the point of this podcast, this vlog, is to find the positivity in the world around us and meet and mesh with other people who want to live in that positivity as well. That's how this was born, and that's how I hope it will continue to live out. So take those recommendations really seriously, especially if you're serious about making change and identifying the blockades that you already know might stop you on your journey. Watch that documentary, listen to Friday's episode again, really get out that notebook, think about what your challenges are, what you can expect on the journey to get there, overcoming your fear of the unknown, overcoming your fear of the unexpected. And let's be someplace at the end of 2023 that we are not at right now in June. That's my hope, and I hope it's yours too. Okay, quote of the day. Very fitting, of course. The sun shines not on us, but in us. Don't let anybody or anything quench that flame. Keep it eternally lit. Look on the bright side of things. It's always there. Until next Friday, have a wonderful work week. Apply some of these tools, watch that documentary, make yourself feel the positivity that's around you in the next few days. Do the work, honor the simple, and always keep your face toward the sun. I will see you next time. Thanks for coming on the ride. I hope you stay for the journey.